Hi. Yeah, I'm Mike, and I am responsible for Cut.com, which is to say that I'm basically the CEO, head of content, and creative director there. Oh, this is neat. I've never given a talk or been at CreativeMornings, so aren't you lucky? This awesome illustration was done by a local illustrator named Jesse Ledoux. If you guys don't know who he is, check out ledouxville.com. Because he's super sick. Like I was saying before, I'd never given a talk, and my wife asked me, she goes, so Mike, how did you decide to go and actually do this? And I go, well, I just approached it in the same way I do any creative endeavor, with a three-part process. The first one being just agreed without thinking, without like even trying to figure out what the consequences might be, like standing in front of a group of like intimidating industry professionals. And then the second one being I procrastinated for as long as possible before slapping together something. And then the last one, which is what I'm doing right now, which is to make excuses and lower expectations. So just to let you guys know, if we can all just lower expectations, knowing that at the end of this talk, it's unlikely that you will leave inspired, having gained absolutely no practical knowledge. So I told my investor that I was going to be giving this talk, and he's like, oh, geez, this is, he was disappointed because because he knows that I have no filter, number one. And then the second reason being that he's like, he goes, the most shocking thing about you is that is if people knew what a misanthrope you are. Like, the idea that a misanthrope could create such optimistic work. And I was like, well, you can't spell misanthrope without the word "thrope." Which is, and he was like, what is that? I go, it's hope with a noose around its neck. So, but then I started trying to think, like, what makes me make sense for shock as the theme? And I thought, oh, maybe it has to do with something like
Race-matic, what, BB2, what up, Jim Rowe, Jenny, we're gonna let y'all know how these verbal.
And you've never smoked marijuana before?
No, I've never smoked marijuana.
Or maybe this one.
Do you know why we're here today?
For a video?
We're gonna talk about where babies come from.
Do you know anything about intercourse? See this pocket?
Yep.
Okay. The pocket is the vagina. Okay? And in order to have a child, Daddy has to put his penis in the pocket. Do you understand?
Ew.
And then I was like, oh, maybe it's this one. Sexual position.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Getting deep real fast.
Yeah, we're going straight for it.
You like it from the back, baby?
No, that was my number.
So it's number two.
It's number two.
Okay, number one is you being on top.
Yeah.
Her favorite sexual position would have to be from behind.
Is that true?
I don't think so.
What is it?
My parents couldn't be here today, so. But then I actually started thinking, like, I don't actually find any of this shocking, and I don't think any of you guys would either. And when I really began to examine it, I thought, oh man, I don't think I find anything shocking anymore. And I think maybe there's something about my work that has been impacted by that. And I'm going to talk about that at some point during this. So I've divided this talk into 3 parts, each part based on something that people say to me all the time and or ask me. So the first one being you can't make things go viral. The second part being you can't scale quality. And the third one being, do you watch Silicon Valley? No. Because it's real. So on the first part, you can't make things go viral. Usually when people say this to me, it's attached to one of 3 emotional states. Outrage, you can't make things go viral. Or disdain, you can't make things go viral. Or fatigue, you can't make things go viral. You can, but so it doesn't matter how you want to say it, you actually can. But there was a period of time where I actually believed that to be true. I actually remember the first time that I found myself in this industry. I was in an ideation session for an internet marketing startup, and a marketing analyst came in and he goes, Mike, I have a connection to Lou Ferrigno. Do you guys have any ideas? And I was like, oh shit, Lou Ferrigno. He was the Hulk. Yeah, I got ideas. Let's see here. Tight shot of the guy working out. Cut to a wide shot. He's working out on a total gym, but it's in the middle of the woods. A lion yawns at his feet. He looks up at the camera and says, did you know that the fastest growing nail on your hand is your middle finger? Smiles a little too wide. Smash cut to black. Falcon cry, dolphin laugh, panther growl. And then it's like, the more you Ferrigno. And I was joking, and then like a couple weeks later, I'm standing in the woods, and I'm looking at Lou Ferrigno, and he's got a pug and a baby Bjorn, and he's feeding rainbow sprinkles to a taxidermy deer head. And I remember saying, I guess this is my job now, to nobody. So that totally did not go viral. It was at this period of time where I thought, oh, well, what is virality? It's like, it's basically just a mashup of a bunch of absurd things. You've got to work in nostalgia and surprise and that sort of stuff, and then something magically happens. And over the past several years, as we've developed rubrics for creating things that to help them actually find an environment of spreading, I was like, oh, it's actually way simpler than that. It's just, it's about story. So that means, to me, it's all about what is the central premise of this thing that we're creating? Who are the characters? What is the conflict? What is the catharsis that we want from the audience? And what kind of conversion are we expecting from them? See what I did there? It's all C's. It was really easy to remember. And I think that changed a lot of things for me. And I was just actually telling John here, who did this killer talk a few months ago, so you should check it out, CreativeMornings, John Bell. I was telling him how the people who don't know that you can spread virality, it's because they're all thinking about it in the same way. I was invited to direct a Hellman's commercial. I got a call and they go, Mike, these guys are, Ogilvy is using your creative, and so why don't you just come and direct? I go, sure, yeah, that sounds great. So I'm sitting there in this vast warehouse with like 100 people walking around, and there's like a seamless background with 3 people sitting in front of it. I'm like, this feels like too much. But then we did this piece, they edited it, and it's absolutely terrible. I wanted to share it with you, but it's so bad I'm not going to. It's fucking terrible. And I was like, this is what happens when you confuse like features of virality with why things actually spread. I think the more important thing to know isn't that it's possible to make things spread, but why is making something viral actually good? There was a long period of time where I thought, oh God, this is so dirty. It's such a dirty word, viral. And anytime someone says predictive virality, I just never want to stop punching them in the face. And so I was like, but is there a reason why I'm actually attracted to it? And I had this aha moment where I thought, yeah, I do. I think this is great. There's something wonderful about it. You start thinking about the internet and what it does and how you live a customized experience, right? You go online and you live in a bubble where everything that's fed to you is the result of things that you've clicked on or friends that you have. And so we're all walking around these like giant bubbles, and there's something wonderful about a viral piece of anything, because it pierces those bubbles, and for an instant, like, you share in a collective experience, even if that experience is really, stupid, like a cat in a box or something. So then the question becomes, can I adopt some of those things that can make something spread, and do it in a way that it's injected with the things that I care about? And the reason why I was, all that came to me literally in like an instant about 6 months ago was because previous to this, I had a nonprofit called Rogue Scholar where we were doing things like humanities curations along public transit routes. And I wanted to do I was writing grants for like the first feature-length documentary on the first Filipino-American novel. And I wrote all these grants and working with some of my friends, and I suddenly realized that no one cares. Like, all these things that we were so passionate about, no one gives a shit about. And then when I started working in this space, I go, wow, you can make stuff that can touch lots of people, but instead of looking at it from a lowest common denominator, what if we thought of it from the viewpoint of what is the highest inflection point that will touch all audiences, And so then it became an experiment. And for us in the beginning, it was, what is a really simple success metric? And we were like, okay, if it gets 1 million views within 48 hours, then we succeeded. That was like a goal, as in if we intend for a video to do that. And not every video is intended to do that. But for the ones that we wanted to, we had a success rate of about 10 to 1. So we were having 10 pieces that were doing it to 1 that would not. And this is definitely one that did not.
This is going online? No, I'm kidding. Oh.
The only way we're gonna get the police to stop chokeholding black people to death is if the police start pretending that black people are really people. But they ain't gonna do that shit necessarily, so I'm gonna need your help. So instead of just filming somebody black getting chokeholded to death, why don't you yell over there, hey, stop it! He's really white and rich! That's just Jimmy Fallon in a mask, motherfucker.
So, I really wanted this one to go viral. And I know why it didn't, and it's because this generation really doesn't have the language for talking about racism, right? Like, race is a moral issue, and if you don't consider yourself a bad person, then you can't possibly be racist. And then also sharing a piece like this invites uncomfortable questions. It's like, suddenly I have to have this discussion about, what I believe with all these different people. What does it say about me? And it's not inherently delightful. I think, when the 2 pieces that didn't do what we were hoping they would do were about race. And I was telling one of my investors, she's like, you're gonna keep doing this, aren't you? And I go, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. Because it's a little bit like my white whale, right? If I can make something about race that can spread, then I feel like I can really do it for anything. Coca-Cola should be easy after that. So, part 2, you can't scale quality. I get told this a lot. So every time I go and have a meeting with potential investors or other publications, they all tell me, like, you can't do this, and everyone likes to pit it as a battle between quality versus quantity. You can have one, you can't have the other, obviously. And I go, yeah, to a certain degree that's true, but I think this is kind of like not a very interesting battle, because really what matters to me is value. So when I tell investors what my ultimate goal is, because everyone thinks, oh, you're just going to make BuzzFeed Part 50, and I'm like, no, that's not really it at all. My goal is to create the type of work that doesn't just spread, but it becomes a feature in people's lives. And so, you know, like I'm on a journey to create like premium short form content, and they go, oh, no one's gonna fucking pay for that. That's crazy. And I go, well, yeah. They go, what have you done so far that you think people will pay for? And I go, nothing. And then they're kind of like jarred by my honesty, and they're like, yes, I'm bought in, whatever you say. But I think the thing is, like, I'm not upset with my Spotify account because every song is 3 minutes long. I think the thing is, like, you have to think about it in terms of value to the person who's watching it. I think if you create work that reflects the type of identity that people want you to perceive them as having, then they will purchase it. That happens all the time. I mean, there's a reason why people buy one type of soft drink more than another. I mean, it's all just fucking fizzy sugar water. So you got to think about it like that. And then finally, before I get to that, I will say this about quality. Even my team thinks that I care about quality, and I do to a certain degree. I kill videos all the time. So I remember the first time I killed a video that we had invested time and energy and money into, and I invited everyone to sit around it. And before I killed it, I go, take a look at this video. What do you think? And they were all like, what if we did that? We could change out the type, or we color correct it like this, or we have different edits that we can throw in, and all these things. And this is before they even knew that I had an opinion on it. And then after a while, just go, yes, we could do all those things, only this video is shit. It's like complete shit, and all the things that you're describing will not improve something so incredibly shitty as this shitty ass video. And they're like, okay. And I go, but it's okay. It's okay that this is complete shit. What I want you to do in the future is, before you even watch a video for the first time that you've spent money on, that you're behind budget on, that you're behind time on, that I've been like telling you to get your crap together and finish it, for the very first time, as you hit the button to watch it, you know in your heart that this video is shit, and that it then has to prove to you over time that it's good. And I go, most of the time it won't. Most of the time it will still be total shit. But if it doesn't make you want to kill yourself, maybe we launch it. And they're like, oh, that's tough. And I go, no, the point of this is, once you remove the expectation of something having to be good from like the thing, then you no longer have to be precious with it. You know, it's like, look at everything you make in the same way that you look at everything else online, right? Like, if you look at something online, we are really good critics. We can see something and know instantly that it's bad, but we are so easy on ourselves. And so I just wanted them to do that too. All that comes back to value. All right, do I watch Silicon Valley? Absolutely not. I was, again, telling John this earlier, but it is so real. It's scary. I watched like the pilot episode, and I go, oh my God, those are conversations I'm having as a media startup in Seattle, which is just absurd. Every time I go to like New York or LA and I have a conversation with VC, they're like, so do you have to be in Seattle? And I'm like, yeah, that's where I live. And they go, but it's media. Yeah, I get it, we're weird. And they go, we start talking about the actual process of it. I remember I was at a pitch meeting with some VC, and I showed them our deck. Look, I was super exhausted. It was at the end of a very long trip. I was like wearing a KXP t-shirt. I didn't realize I was wearing sunglasses because they were prescription, so I probably looked like a total douchebag. I'm like sitting there, and I like not even realizing. And then they go, "So you want to walk us through your deck?" And I was like, "Sure. Let's go through this fucking deck." So the first line in this deck is, "Cut is the studio of the future." And I told them, I read a blog about how to build decks, and they said that the first line should be an audacious statement that you can't possibly back. So that's that one. And then I'm just going to call these out for you so you can check them off as I go through this deck. And they're like, what are you doing? But by the end of it, they were pretty bought in. So I think that kind of thing works. Think about that. I was later told that that's called nagging. So apparently I nag. But I want to go back to ideation for a second. So I was saying how we were in this ideation session, and that is a word I was not aware of until I started working in a startup. Because and I realized ideation is what startups and serial killers call brainstorming. It's not their only similarity. There are also both white male-dominated industries that favor early starters, social misfits, and psychopaths. And if you ever get the chance to stare into the itchy, grinning visage of Jonah Peretti's mask of sanity, as David McCullough and I have, you will know what I mean. So, I know this is mean, but I mean, whatever. They're big, and he's kind of a dick in real life. So that being said, he gave me some very good advice. And that comes down to the top things I've learned in my 10 months of running a startup. So all three of these things I learned from Jonah Peretti, one of which was intentional. So first one being that content is more important than technology. Every time I go and have a talk with a VC, they're like, yeah, but what's the technology component? How are you gonna guard yourself against all this competition? And I'm like, how does BuzzFeed? I mean, it's just there's nothing really technological about the things that they're doing. It's all these things are repeatable. The truth is technology becomes obsolete, guys. All the things that you're excited about now are old hat in 2 years or free. So. But what if you focus on actually making content and it's not the same kind of competition? People don't go, oh shit, I'm on Facebook, there's no way that I'm gonna I'm gonna be on MySpace. Yeah, that's true. But no one goes, oh, I watch Game of Thrones, there's no way I'm gonna watch Weeds or something. It's all the same. You just watch it. And so then the competition isn't with anybody else, it's with how you can be relevant to your audience. So that's one. The second thing being content is a fucking shitty ass word and should be shot dead. And I use it and I hate it myself. Someone asked me, they go, Mike, what is content to you? And I go, okay. It's imagine a storyometer, right? On one end is story and on the other end is copy pasta. You can measure the distance between those two valences and units that we call content. So 10 contents is Joan Didion slouching towards Bethlehem, and one content is top 10 headlines that'll make you come in your pants. So again, Dave knows what I'm talking about. So 3, this one was the intentional one. He goes, if you're going to do this, you need to be certain that you want to do it. I know I was making fun of him, but the truth is he was not in a good mood when we met because he was in the middle of a lawsuit. And he goes, do you want to do this? Do you want to scale something knowing that you're going to have to deal with this kind of crap? Or do you want to just create things? You need to know that. You need to be passionate. And I was like, well, I'm not scared of lawsuits. So this is me getting sued for the first time. It sucks. But it was really interesting. I felt like I was in that Katherine Heigl movie. It was I was served. It was, but after I got it, I had a lot of conversations with our investors about this idea of do I actually want to do this? Or is this the type of thing that we should just sell and move on? We can just be creatives now. And it was the type of conversation I should have had 9 months before. But after that, I realized, yes, this is something that I want to do. So that's my talk. Thanks.